Give us 3 hours. We'll turn your brain into a rich, creamy tapioca.
I've been sauteing the other brain, the one that fell on the floor. I like brains. This one, unfortunately, has been here too long.
The Bone Metal Zone.
So you're going to kind of follow in the footsteps of Prince and just be done with the label? And
I wish I could, and he was so ahead of his time. And what he did before the era of when it could have really had the impact that it could today, which it still can. I'm not dismissing what he did. I think he was the first one that did it the best.
Everyone thought he was crazy, but he saw it coming.
If I did not have the restraint of being in a contract that I cannot get out of, then I would love to just put out music at my leisure, because I have the benefit of years of hard work, of people knowing me, in the same way that anyone can put out a record, and if people like it, it's judged on an even playing field. But I have the advantage of, I already have the world's attention from what I've done in the past. But I just had to realize, like, my focus should never be the same focus that the world that has failed has. The reason the record industry has failed is because they make their decisions based on money, not on art. And I've always made mine based on art. And if you make them based on art, you end up making more money, because money's not what you care about. You just get the reward of your hard work because it's not what you're trying for. It's called sacrifice. And when you sacrifice something, you get a better result than if you're trying to focus and worry about the wrong thing.
So you've got the new album, you've got a long tour ahead of you, and probably, I would guess, at least the next 18 months of your life planned out. What is it you look forward to in all of that?
I look forward to just doing better every show. I feel like I had been in a period of my life where I feel like I did not live up to my own expectations, and I feel like making this record, I got back my dignity and my pride to myself. I don't know how the rest of the world felt. I'm really proud of this record, and I don't even think it's the best that I can do, but I think it's the best that I've done. And I feel like I just want to have a good time every day when I go on stage, because what better job could you have, if it has to be called a job, than to be a rock star? And I really can't. I have no other complaints. I have nothing else to do.
It's nice work if you can get it.
But I don't want that to be, it's not as shallow as a mud puddle. It's what it is. Like that's the basics. That's the starting point. But if you're unafraid of the results of any of your actions, and you believe in what you do, and the world is ahead of you, you can just go on. And that's how I started. Maybe at some point I started to doubt my ways, and maybe lost my path in the forest of darkness, etc. But now I'm back on track, and I'm like, it's very simple. I'm not going to f*** around. I'm just going to do what I do. I am, happy is it's a very aggressive word.
Content?
I feel like no, content means lazy. I feel like I'm satisfied with the results of my behavior for today.
And one last question, which it might be kind of goofy, but I've always kind of wondered. Everybody had a name that was a sex symbol and a serial killer or a mass murderer, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stopped with Zim Zum. Why? Did you just get tired of it, or was there a purpose?
Well, the Guff ran out of names, but no, I think because it broke the sort of bond of the beginning of, it would have felt fraudulent to continue that on like it was a gimmick, because obviously everything's a gimmick. Marilyn Manson is a mockery of a gimmick. It's a gimmick within a gimmick. It always has been. It's a fake name. It's based on fake names. It's very conscious of what it is. But at that point, it seemed like we had. I don't know if it's comparative to like Ziggy Stardust when Mick Ronson they changed and it became Bowie, or when Alice Cooper band broke up. And I never wanted to be like it was Marilyn Manson's solo project or something like that. But it seemed
kind of like a subtle indicator of the end of an era.
It just seemed forced.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know him enough, and history shows that he maybe wasn't really worthy of a name like that, or John Fox. And I think things come full circle. You have to grow. The biggest thing was for Twiggy and I to realize, because we had a very simple falling out, and it was very childish, and we just didn't know how to have an argument. We broke up like a boyfriend and girlfriend. And there was never a big difference between us when we saw each other. It was, what were we doing for 6 years? It's stupid. So,
and now it's just a big bromance?
It is a total bromance with Brocane and Brosive Goebbels and all of it. That's fine. Yeah, no, he and I were just, yeah. No, we are. It is. It is a total I love you man situation with him and I, and with Chris Frenner too. Because Chris, you got to remember, I've known Twiggy, because I met Chris
when he was with 9 Inch Nails, right?
Yeah, I met him first. He was the guy who walked me to the gray van in which Trent Reznor was sitting, pretentiously doing whatever he does. But Chris, Chris is a solid soldier, a person with true heart. He became one of my closest friends making this record. He was the person that had to write down my lyrics because I was channeling them like Samuel Taylor Coleridge or something. It was just unusual. And so we've got a bit of a camaraderie going on, dare I say.
Did you ever listen to any of the other projects that Twiggy was in while he was in them? Any of the Perfect Circle stuff or the 9 Inch Nails stuff that he was part of?
I did to a certain degree, to the same degree that he probably listened to the stuff that we did. Because I know that apart, we did things that we're both proud of or we're both happy about, but nothing that we're as proud of is what we've done together. I mean, it's really that simple. And when we're together, we can do things, I think, that, are pretty unstoppable. And it was really easy to find that out. Like, the minute that, we fatefully ran into each other in the lobby of a hotel, there was no turning back. There was no question. I didn't have to even, second guess it. He had to be back in the band. There was nothing about it. And it's the most unusual thing about our, getting back together. And after making this record, there was for some strange reason, we had a question mark, who will play guitar, and not thinking that Twiggy would play guitar, because he always has. He played guitar on all the records that we put out that he was involved in. Mm-hmm. But we never did it live because he's always been the best bass player. I've always seen him as the bass player. But, when people from the rest of the world look at a band from outside, people think of Marilyn Manson, they think of, in my opinion, they think of Twiggy and I. And it's different because they never necessarily, historically, Jagger, Richards, whatever, it's
Tyler
a guitar
Perry,
player.
that sort of thing.
Like Jimmy Page, Robert Plant. It's a guitar player thing, but Twiggy is a guitar player, and I think on this record, he plays bass and guitar, but he shines as a guitar player. So I was really excited to have him play guitar live. And when I met him, he was a guitar player. And I made him play bass. So I wrecked him somehow. I took 2 strings away from him.
And now you're giving them back.
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's no end in sight, the two of you? TLA?
Yeah, true love always.
The Bone Metal Zone.